Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
In today's video, we're diving into the then versus now of one of the most iconic TV families ever, the Waltons. From John Boy's writing dreams to Mary Ellen's adventures, these beloved characters have a special place in our hearts. But what happened to the cast after the show ended in 1981? Who's still rocking Hollywood? Who's taken a step back from the spotlight? Stay tuned because we've got some surprising updates and you won't want to miss it. Richard Thomas as John Boy Walton, the eldest son of the Walton family, an aspiring writer. All right, folks, we're kicking off today's Walton's journey with the one and only John Boy Walton. Played by the legendary Richard Thomas, John Boy was the oldest of the Walton kids. And, let's be real, he was kind of the heart and soul of the family. Now, if you're a Waltons fan, you know John Boy wasn't just about chores and family dinners. This guy had dreams, and big ones. His love for writing was his biggest passion, as we first learned in The Homecoming, and it was something that really defined his character. As for Richard Thomas, the beloved actor who had an impeccable performance as John Boy, let's talk about what he has been up to since his days in Waltons. And trust me, there's a lot. From his early career to his more recent projects, the guy's done it all. Stick around, we'll get into all of that. Before he became John Boy, Richard Thomas had quite an interesting childhood that set him up for his big break on the Waltons. Born and raised in New York City, Richard grew up in a family that was all about the arts. His parents were both ballet dancers, and Richard Thomas was just 7 years old when he made his Broadway debut in Sunrise at Campobello in 1958. So you could say performing was in his blood from the start. Then he quickly transitioned to TV, landing roles in series like The Defenders and Bonanza. So by the time he landed the role of John Boy at just 21, Richard was already a seasoned actor with years of experience. His performance as the eldest Walton sibling won him a place in the hearts of viewers everywhere, and even won him an Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series for his unforgettable role. Here's a wild story for you. Did you know that on the day Richard Thomas won his Emmy for playing John Boy Walton, he actually got into a car accident? That's right. While he was driving to the ceremony, he was so lost in thought rehearsing his potential speech that, boom, a fender bender. Let's check out the speech where he mentions the accident.
I have nothing to say, so I started to think of something to say and I destroyed my car.
But after 5 seasons, he made the bold decision to leave the show and explore new roles. In 1979, Richard starred in the Roots miniseries, The Next Generations, showing that he was more than just John Boy. And if you're a fan of more recent TV, you probably caught him in the critically acclaimed FX series The Americans. He started off with a supporting role as FBI agent Frank God, but quickly became a key player in the show's main cast. He also appeared in Billions as Sanford Benzinger, and even dipped his toes into the world of science fiction with a role in Ozark playing Nathan Davis. On top of that, Richard has taken on several law enforcement roles, including in NCIS, New Orleans. From drama to sci-fi, Richard Thomas has truly had an incredible career, and he continues to stay busy even after all these years. So, which of his roles has been your favorite? Let us know in the comments. Before the Waltons made him a household name, Richard Thomas had an academic life that was just as interesting as his early career. According to IMDb, Richard initially went to Columbia College with a major in literature. But, fun fact, during the Vietnam War, he made a pretty bold switch. Amidst all the anti-war demonstrations, which were interrupting his education, Richard got frustrated. So, he decided to change his major to Chinese. He felt that focusing on something like Chinese studies would help him avoid the disturbances happening on campus at the time. Talk about a unique choice, right? Richard is now in his early 70s and continues to be a vibrant presence in the entertainment world. However, his passion for acting hasn't waned. In fact, he's been actively involved in various projects. In recent years, Richard took on the role of Atticus Finch in the touring production of To Kill a Mockingbird, showcasing his enduring talent on stage. He also appeared in the acclaimed Netflix series Ozark, portraying Nathan Davis, a character that added depth to the show's narrative. Richard has always been a bit of a private guy, but here's what we do know. He's been married twice, first to Alma Gonzalez in 1975. The couple had 4 children together, including a set of triplets. Yep, you heard that right, triplets. Unfortunately, after nearly 2 decades together, Richard and Alma went their separate ways in 1993. But life had more in store for him. In 1994, Richard married Georgiana Bischoff, and the two have been going strong ever since. Together, they've blended their families, raising a total of 7 kids from previous relationships. It's safe to say Richard is no stranger to the joys and chaos of family life. Richard Thomas lived a full life, but it wasn't without its challenges. When he was in his 30s, Richard was diagnosed with cochlear otosclerosis, a bone disorder that affects the middle ear. As a result, he lost 50% of his hearing and had to wear hearing aids. But instead of letting that slow him down, Richard turned it into a cause he cared deeply about. He became a strong advocate for hearing health and served as the national chairman of the Better Hearing Institute, helping others face similar struggles. He used his platform to make a real difference, both in the lives of his family and in the lives of countless others dealing with hearing loss. It's always awesome to see someone who not only made a huge impact on screen, but also continues to inspire off screen as well. What do you guys think about Richard's journey? Drop a comment below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want more then versus now content. Stick around, because next up, we're diving into another Waltons legend, Michael Learned. You won't want to miss it. Michael Learned as Olivia Walton, the loving and strong-willed mother of the Walton family. Link footage Chung. Next up, we have the incredible Michael Learned, who brought the iconic role of Olivia Walton to life. As the matriarch of the Walton family, Michael captured hearts with her warmth, strength, and no-nonsense attitude. Her portrayal was so impactful, she took home not 1, but 4 Emmy Awards during her time on the show.
The winner is Michelle Learned, the Waltons.
We'd like to entertain you with some interesting facts about Michael Learned. On screen, she played the beloved Olivia Walton, the nurturing mother of the Walton family. But did you know she was only 12 years older than Richard Thomas, who played her eldest son, John Boy? It's pretty wild when you think about it. On the flip side, she was actually 11 years younger than Ralph Waite, who portrayed her husband, John Walton Sr. That age difference is something fans wouldn't expect, but the chemistry between the cast made it work seamlessly. In a chat with Smashing Interviews magazine, Learned reminisced about pushing Hamner to make Olivia Walton a little more relatable. She recalled telling him, "You've got to have Olivia make a mistake and punish the wrong child or something a little more human." Unfortunately, the actress decided to leave the show after 7 seasons, in 1979. Michael Learned's departure from the Waltons was a pivotal moment for the show and her career. So why did she leave when everything seemed to be going so well? Michael Learned has openly discussed her struggles with alcohol before and during her time on the Waltons.
And I was going through a divorce, I was drinking too much, I had 3 kids.
She has admitted that at one point, her drinking became a significant issue in her life. The pressures of being a working mother while juggling the demands of a popular TV show took a toll on her, and she turned to alcohol as a coping mechanism. In interviews, Learned has reflected on how her alcoholism affected her personal life and career.
I just thought, this is crazy. Why am I drinking? I'm all alone. You know, when you start drinking alone,
She was able to recognize that her drinking was spiraling out of control, and it became a major factor in her decision to leave the show. Besides, she felt like she'd taken the role of Olivia Walton as far as she could. The character had run its course for her, and she wanted to try something new. She sought help and eventually got sober, which played a crucial role in her recovery and personal growth. After the Waltons, she didn't just step out of the spotlight. In fact, she stayed busy with a variety of roles, both on TV and in the theater. You might have spotted her in The Young and the Restless, NCIS, or even on stage in numerous productions. Still active today, she even returned to the Waltons universe for the Waltons Homecoming special, showing that she's just as dedicated as ever. Well, what's about her personal life? Well, it's definitely been full of twists and turns. She's been married 3 times and has 3 kids. Her first marriage was to actor Peter Donat, and together they had 2 sons. But, like many Hollywood marriages, it didn't last, and they ended up divorcing after about 10 years. Then came her second marriage to businessman William Parker, which also ended in divorce. But here's the interesting part. During her time on the Waltons, Michael had a pretty close relationship with her co-star Ralph Waite. Yep, John Walton himself.
Each other. And we were like a married couple without all the baggage that you get when you're in a marriage.
They had a lot of on-screen chemistry, and fans loved their dynamic. But it didn't go beyond friendship in real life. Through everything, Michael has kept a low profile and kept her family close. Today, she's living a peaceful life and cherishing those quiet, private moments away from the spotlight. So, where is she now? Michael Learned is making a bit of a surprise return to the spotlight. In 2022, she took on a key role in Netflix's Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, where she played the chilling role of the serial killer's grandmother. Quite the departure from her beloved Olivia Walton role, right? But that's what makes her such a versatile actress. She's always ready to take on new challenges. After an incredible career that has touched so many hearts, it's great to see her thriving and taking on new adventures, both on screen and in life. We can't wait to see what she does next and are thankful for the incredible legacy she's left. Ralph Waite as John Walton Sr., the father of the Walton family, a hardworking and principled man. Link footage Chung. When the Waltons first hit the airwaves in 1972, Ralph Waite instantly became the heart of the show. As John Sr., he was the patriarch of the Walton family, providing wisdom, strength, and love to his 7 children. Whether it was giving advice to John Boy or working tirelessly to keep his family's farm running, Ralph Waite brought that strong, quiet leadership that made John Walton Sr. unforgettable. His portrayal of John Walton Sr. was nothing short of legendary, making him an iconic TV dad for generations. But Ralph Waite's life wasn't confined to just acting. Before he became a TV legend, Waite had a fascinating and diverse career. He served in the U.S. Marines, worked as a social worker, and even became an ordained Presbyterian minister. And that's not all. He was a book editor and a 3-time Democratic candidate for Congress from California. Talk about a man of many talents. However, one notable scandal occurred during his political career. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, when Waite ran for Congress as a Democrat in California's 24th district. While he garnered a lot of public support, his campaign was met with some scrutiny, especially from critics who questioned his credibility as a political figure, given his Hollywood background. His political ambitions were a bit of a shock to some, and they didn't help him win a seat in Congress, despite his passion for social issues. Another thing to mention is, Waite had personal battles, including his struggles with alcohol, which he bravely opened up about. In his early years, Ralph struggled with some serious alcohol problems, and by the time he started filming The Waltons, he was already deep into his addiction. But here's where it gets inspiring. His role as the loving, steady father John Walton actually helped him face his demons. Then, he decided to get help, joined Alcoholics Anonymous, and guess what? He stayed sober for the rest of his life. The guy was a fighter. As an actor, Waite wasn't just limited to family drama. He stretched his range from Shakespeare to Beckett, Broadway to soap operas. Fans may recognize him from his role as Father Matt on Days of Our Lives, or from his Emmy-nominated performances, one for his iconic role as John Walton, and another for his powerful portrayal of Slater, the first mate of a slave ship in the miniseries Roots. His work was often challenging and diverse, showing his depth as an actor. Ralph Waite also had a busy film and television career, starring in classic films like Cool Hand Luke, 1967, alongside Paul Newman in 5 Easy Pieces, 1970, with Jack Nicholson. He appeared on shows like Murder 1, 1996, and Carnival, 2003-2005, and he played Jackson Gibbs, the father of Mark Harmon's character, on NCIS for several years. Waite didn't just act. He also directed 16 episodes of The Waltons and founded the Los Angeles Actors Theater, an experimental company he was passionate about. He even went all in on a film project called On the Nickel, 1980, where he wrote, produced, directed, and starred. Though the film didn't have a huge impact at the box office, Waite poured more than $1 million of his own money into it, showing just how dedicated he was to the art of storytelling. So, Ralph Waite's personal life wasn't without its heartache. He was married 3 times throughout his life. His first marriage brought him 3 daughters, but tragically, one of them passed away at just 9 years old. A heartbreaking loss that certainly shaped his journey. But through all the highs and lows, Ralph found happiness again when he married his 3rd wife, Linda East, in 1982. They lived in Palm Desert, California, where, sadly, Ralph passed away unexpectedly at the age of 85 on February 13, 2014.
The American actor Ralph Waite, who played the father in TV's hit series The Waltons, has died. He was 85. He was best known.
It's always tough to say goodbye to legends like him, but Ralph Waite's legacy lives on through his unforgettable roles and his lasting impact on both the acting world and his community. Such an incredible life, right? John Walmsley as Jason Walton, the 2nd eldest son, a talented musician and thoughtful young man. Alright, so if you remember Jason Walton, you know he wasn't just your typical farm boy. He was a musical prodigy who played the piano and even composed his own songs. Jason had a soft spot for his family, and he was always there for his siblings with a helping hand or a kind word. John Walmsley brought so much warmth and depth to the role, making Jason one of the most beloved characters on the Waltons. Alright, so John Walmsley, the actor who brought Jason to life, shared that same passion for music.
That's the reason I got the part, actually, because I took my harmonica to the audition and played.
And here's where things get really interesting. John wasn't just known as Jason Walton, the piano-playing, harmonica-slinging, freckle-faced farm boy. Nope, he had a musical career well before the Waltons. And after the show, he wasn't just trying to cash in on his fame. He was determined to carve out his own path in music, away from the shadow of his TV persona. In a 1979 interview with the Jackson Sun, John made it clear that he wasn't about to jump on the easy publicity bandwagon. At just 23 years old, John had offers coming in to record an album titled something like Jason Walton Sings, capitalizing on the Waltons connection. But John wasn't having it. He told the press, "Forget it. People are gonna know who I am anyway. But I'm not in this just for the quick fame or the easy buck." Instead, John wanted to prove he was more than just the guy who played Jason Walton. He wanted to build a real, lasting music career based on his own talent, not just his TV role. He said, "If you want to sustain a career over a lifetime, you've really got to have something going or people are not going to continue to be interested in you." And for him, that something was country music, something he was passionate about long before he landed his role on the Waltons. In fact, his first real music idols? The Beatles, not some country TV star. John wasn't about to let his acting career define his music. While still on the Waltons, he jumped at every chance to perform with other major acts. He played with legends like Elvin Bishop, the Doobie Brothers, and Greg Allman, showing that he was serious about his craft and ready to step away from the role that made him famous. So, while Jason Walton may have been the musical guy on the show, John Walmsley was on a mission to prove he was a musical artist in his own right, carving a path in the country music world that had nothing to do with his TV persona. Talk about staying true to yourself. As for John's relationships, John first married Lisa Harrison, who was also part of the WALTONS cast. They got married in 1979, and fun fact, Ralph Waite, who played John's TV dad, actually officiated the wedding. They had a daughter together, but after nearly 30 years, they split up in 2008. Later that same year, John found love again and married Marion. Since then, they've been living a peaceful life, and in 2018, they moved to the UK, settling in beautiful North Cornwall. Good for him. Judy Norton as Mary Ellen Walton, the oldest daughter, who goes through many challenges as she grows up. Back in the 1970s, Judy Norton brought the role of Mary Ellen Walton to life with charm and grit. Mary Ellen was known for her fierce independence and drive, especially as she navigated the challenges of growing up during the Great Depression. She had some of the most dramatic storylines on the show, becoming a nurse, getting married, and even dealing with the loss of her husband. Norton's portrayal made Mary Ellen one of the most relatable and beloved characters on the show. Born on January 29, 1958, in Santa Monica, California, Judy grew up surrounded by the entertainment industry. By the time she was just a young girl, she was already making appearances on television. Her acting debut came at a young age when she appeared in TV series like The Monroes in the late 60s. However, her big break came when she landed the role of Mary Ellen Walton at just 13 years old, a role that would define her early career. Being thrust into the limelight as a teenager wasn't easy, but Judy handled it with grace. She essentially grew up on screen, which meant she had to balance her childhood with the pressures of Hollywood. As Mary Ellen, she matured before our eyes, taking on increasingly adult storylines as the Waltons progressed. Interestingly, while playing the role of Mary Ellen on television, Judy was also developing her other talents. She had a love for singing and would later go on to perform in musical theater. In her 20s, Judy worked hard to establish herself outside of her Waltons persona. She appeared in guest roles on other TV shows and pursued stage work. One of her most notable steps to break away from the wholesome image was posing for Playboy in 1985. This was a bold move at the time, as she wanted to redefine herself as an adult actress and show a more mature side of herself. Fast forward to today, and Judy Norton is still in the spotlight, though in a different way. She transitioned into a multifaceted career, not just sticking with acting. These days, she's also a director and writer. She's been involved in theater productions and has made guest appearances on various TV shows. What's cool is that she even has her own YouTube channel, where she shares behind-the-scenes stories and answers fan questions about the Waltons. If you're a fan of the show, it's definitely worth checking out for some nostalgic tidbits. Beyond her acting career, Judy's a passionate advocate for various causes. She's really into supporting charities, especially those focused on children and families, which of course fits perfectly with the kind of character she portrayed on The Waltons. In fact, she's been a huge supporter of the Make-A-Wish Foundation and other organizations that help make a difference in people's lives. However, there's been some buzz around her personal life that's left a few followers disappointed. It turns out, Judy has long been associated with the Church of Scientology, and this revelation didn't sit well with everyone. For fans who grew up watching The Waltons, this news came as a surprise, especially since Scientology has been such a controversial topic in the public eye. While Judy herself hasn't been super vocal about her beliefs compared to other celebrities, her involvement sparked some mixed reactions. A lot of fans were shocked and even a bit let down, as they struggled to reconcile the actress they loved with her connection to Scientology. Now, while her personal life has been fairly private, Judy's shared plenty of insights on her journey through life, and she's very active on social media. She loves connecting with her fans, and you can see that she's got a great sense of humor and a positive outlook on life. Whether it's posting throwback pics from the Waltons days or sharing family moments, she's always keeping it real with her followers. What do you think about Judy Norton's evolution from the Waltons to where she is now? Let me know in the comments below. Mary Elizabeth McDonough as Erin Walton, the second oldest daughter, known for her beauty and desire for adventure. Erin Walton, played by none other than the lovely Mary Elizabeth McDonough. Erin was the second oldest Walton child, known for her beauty, kindness, and her yearning for adventure. Whether she was dreaming of a life outside the mountain or dealing with teenage angst, Erin really captured the hearts of the Waltons fans. Back in the 70s and early 80s, Erin Walton was a character many of us could relate to. Mary brought Erin to life with such warmth, and fans just loved watching her grow up on screen. She was one of the family members you rooted for, whether she was chasing love, struggling with life's challenges, or dealing with the ups and downs of being a teenager on a mountain in Virginia. She even caught the eye of a few of the boys in town. But more than anything, Erin had that big heart, and Mary played it with such sincerity that it became one of the standout roles in the show. Well, after the Waltons wrapped up in 1981, Mary Elizabeth McDonough didn't just fade into the background. She's kept busy with a range of projects, including acting, writing, and even advocacy. Mary Elizabeth McDonough is not just remembered as Erin Walton. She's made a name for herself as an author, speaker, and health advocate. Beyond acting, she's become a powerful advocate for women's health. After being diagnosed with lupus, she became an expert on health issues, particularly around the dangers of breast implants, which she experienced firsthand. For over 25 years, Mary has lobbied Congress and worked with the FDA, dedicating herself to ensuring women have access to accurate, safe information. In her own words, Since I went public with my breast implant problems, hundreds of women have contacted me desperate for trustworthy information. They had terrible problems just like me and couldn't find out how to get better. Mary's dedication to raising awareness and ensuring post-market surveillance and research on these devices shows just how committed she is to making a difference. She's led countless programs, including body branding, getting comfortable with the skin you're in, which helps individuals reshape their self-image and project positivity to the world. Her message is clear. How we view ourselves affects everything, and it's possible to overcome negative self-perception. Mary's passion for helping others find balance and return to a sense of self has made her a trusted life coach, working one-on-one to help people navigate career transitions, family challenges, and even eating disorders. Mary continued working on television well into adulthood, appearing on hit series like ER, Boston Legal, Will and Grace, and Picket Fences. She even directed and starred in several films, including For the Love of May, featuring Patricia Neal. So from her days as Erin Walton to becoming a health advocate, award-winning filmmaker, and life coach, Mary Elizabeth McDonough's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. What do you think about her incredible evolution? Ben Walton, played by Eric Scott, the third Walton son who is very active and industrious. Link footage Chung. Played by the talented Eric Scott, Ben Walton was one of the most unforgettable characters from the Waltons. Ben was the go-getter, always hustling and trying to carve out his path beyond just being another Walton. Whether he was helping out at the family mill or coming up with money-making schemes, Ben brought energy and a bit of rebellion to the otherwise calm Walton household. We all know that Ben was the ambitious go-getter of the Waltons, always looking for ways to make his own mark, whether he was working at the family mill or coming up with his own money-making schemes. But did you know that Eric had quite a bit of fun both on and off-screen during his time on the show? Judy Norton, who played Mary Ellen Walton, recalls him singing and dancing in the makeup room to get everyone pumped for the day. Or Eric sometimes struggled with his lines. The directors had to come up with creative ways to help him out with his dialogue. And how about those sawmill scenes? Totally real. The Walton family's sawmill work was legit, and Eric, like the rest of the cast, got trained on the equipment. That's dedication for you. But what happened to Eric Scott after the show ended? Well, unlike many of his co-stars, Scott decided to step away from acting after his run on the Waltons. He made some appearances in the reunion movies, but shifted his focus to real life. Today, he's found success as a business owner, running a parcel delivery company in California. Yep, from TV star to business entrepreneur. He stayed under the radar, living a more private life, raising a family and finding happiness outside of the entertainment industry. Scott's journey from the small screen to running his own company is a reminder that even child stars can find their true calling in unexpected places. So, what do you think? Does Eric Scott's post-Walton life surprise you? David Harper as Jim Bob Walton, the fourth Walton son, often known for his sense of humor and curiosity. Now let's dive into David Harper, aka Jim Bob Walton, one of the most lovable and fun characters on the Waltons. Jim Bob was always the goofball of the family, with his wild ideas, crazy schemes, and that non-stop energy. David Harper totally nailed that role, bringing so much charm and heart to the youngest Walton son. Who could forget his crazy adventures with cars or his hilarious moments with his family? But here's the twist. What's David Harper up to now? Well, after the Waltons, he didn't go on to pursue a huge Hollywood career like some of the other stars. Instead, he chose a much quieter path, stepping away from the public eye. That's right, he's living a pretty private life now, focusing on personal passions instead of acting. It's kind of crazy to think how Jim Bob went from the spotlight to being out of the spotlight. So, while we might not see David Harper on our screens much these days, Jim Bob will forever live on in our hearts. And honestly, isn't that what makes the Waltons cast so special? They gave us these unforgettable characters, and they continue to surprise us long after the show ended. Elizabeth Walton, played by Connie Kotler. The youngest Walton child, known for being sweet and innocent. Last but not least, let's take a trip down memory lane and talk about Elizabeth Walton, the sweet, innocent youngest of the Walton family. Played by the talented Connie Kotler, Elizabeth won our hearts as the adorable, good-natured little girl growing up on Walton's Mountain. But what happened to her after the Waltons wrapped up? Well, stick around because we've got the full scoop. Fast forward to now, and Kami Kotler has completely embraced a different side of life. Since leaving acting, Kami has had a brilliant career as a progressive educator and principal. While she did have a few acting roles after the Waltons, it turns out Kami decided to leave Hollywood behind in favor of a quieter, more fulfilling life. After studying at Vassar College and earning a degree in English and history, she shifted gears and started working in education. While her character Elizabeth was always eager to learn, it turns out Kami Kotler herself was even more passionate about learning and education. In fact, she has said in interviews that she always had a strong curiosity about the world, even at a young age. In one of her interviews, Kami recalled how she and her co-star Mary McDonough, who played Erin, would have some very unique school experiences while filming. She mentioned how they used to get involved with the set's newspaper, the Walton Mountain News, and were always trying to recruit new kids to write for it. Kami remembered crashing a movie set at just 12 years old to try and meet Brooke Shields, even though they were dressed in their Waltons costumes and clearly not the dangerous types. She said it was an amazing experience to talk to Brooke Shields, who was lovely, even though she didn't have time to write for their paper. It's honestly so inspiring to see how she's used her platform to have a positive impact on the next generation. And while she's not in the limelight anymore, she's stayed connected with her fans over the years, sharing memories and occasionally revisiting her role as Elizabeth in interviews and fan events. That's a wrap for today's Then versus Now of the Waltons Cast. What do you think about how the cast members have evolved over the years? Which updates surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more Then versus Now videos on your favorite stars. Thanks for watching.